strong.
Today we're going to talk about steps and accidentals. So from the last time that we had our discussion, we've learned about something, the different steps like a half step or a semitone, and also a whole step. So a half step or a semitone is called the distance from one key on the keyboard to the next adjacent or to the next key. So for example, in here, in the key 1 and also to the key 2, they're just a half step away since they are next to each other. So let's listen to them. So a half step is not always from a white key to a black key. They can also be in other forms of the keys. So for example, in here, in this figure, key 1 and then key 2 are still next to each other. Let's listen to the sounds. So those are basically the rule in half step. So a whole step or a whole tone or simply a tone is the same distance as two half steps. So in here, as you can see, key 1 to key 3 is a whole step. So key 1 to key 2 is the first half step. Then key 2 to key 3 is the second half step. That's why it is a whole step. Let's proceed to the signs or the accidental signs. So you usually see this when you are reading musical sheets or when the singers are singing. So an accidental sign is used to raise or could also be lower the pitch of a note. So the first accidentals that we will discuss are the flat and the sharp signs. The flat sign, or this one, lowers a note by a half step, while the sharp raises a note by a half step also. So basically, when typing, you can use a sharp sign to represent a sharp, and you can use a V symbol to represent the flat. So let's examine this figure or the black key in between the C and the D. So it is very essential. It's basically the key could be called C sharp since it is a half step above C. So this is your C, this is your D. So when the sharp sign, the black key here represents your sharp if it is above your note. If it is below your note, that is considered as flat because it lowers the sounds of your D, right? So it could also be D flat since it is a half step below D. So that's basically the rule. So another example would be an E and also an F. So E could also be called F flat since it is a half step below F. So this is your E, okay? And this is your F. So likewise, F could also be called E sharp. So it raises the pitch. So whenever a certain pitch has multiple names, it is called an enharmonic spelling. So next one is let's discuss the double flats and the double sharps. Basically, when you double sharps or double flats, you also use these symbols. So while flats and sharps alter a note by a half step, the double flat or double flat and double sharps alter a note by a whole step. So when typing them, you can use an X mark to represent a double sharp and a double B to represent a double flat. For example, both D and E flat or E have the same pitch since you can reach D by going a whole step or two half steps down from E. So as you can see on the illustration on your screen. So D also sounds the same as C sharps, double sharps. since it is a whole step above C. So that's basically the rule. So when it is a double flat, you use double B. If it's a double sharps, you just use this kind of marking. So finally, there will be a last sign here. It's called a natural sign. So which cancels out any accidentals and returns a note to each original white key. So we will learn about more this kind of symbol or marking in our upcoming or discussion. So that would be all for today. Thank you.